Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. Well, today I'm doing a little bit of a different video and I am going to talk about what I am watching, my favorite podcast. And guys, I have to tell y'all because I'm going to show y'all my notes here. I watch a lot of podcasts, okay? I consume knitting content at about the same rate that I knit at. So it's fairly quick and I do consume a lot of it. Now, I always have something going. I watch a lot of these. Some of them I have on and I may not be paying complete attention to as I'm walking around, I'm doing laundry, I'm, doing something in the kitchen or whatever, but I can hear it and so I'm listening to it and then I'll hear something and I run in there and I back it up. But there are some that I never miss an episode. And I don't get behind on the episodes. They are the ones that I am like, oh my gosh, this just popped up and I must sit down and watch it as soon as I can. And so I have 10 of those I'm going to talk about. I have 2 that I am binge watching right now that may turn into 2 more that I must watch all the time. But right now I'm binge watching trying to get caught up. And then I have a bunch more that I watch and I will watch within the week that they're out. Maybe 2 weeks. I might get an episode or 2 behind and then go and binge them. But I've watched pretty much all of their episodes. And I have broken them down into Europe, which is my longest list. Then I have the United States. And then I have Australia and Canada. And as you can see, I marked some of them out because I had them in the wrong country. So, but there are the 10 that I have to watch all the time come from Australia, Europe, and the United States. Sorry, Canada. There's nobody there that I just have to watch as soon as it hits my television. I do watch several podcasts from there, though. All right. So since I am in the United States, I am going to start with my U.S. group. And I'm going to tell y'all the ones that I have to watch. And then I will tell y'all the ones that I do watch, but it may not be right, on the day that is released. So, the ones that I absolutely must watch are I Knit and I Know Things. Now, there's several reasons why I watch this. Number one is I feel like I know her personally. We have chatted. She is one of my viewers, Gina, Midwife Gina on Instagram and YouTube. Her channel is called I Knit and I Know Things. I would be supporting her because she's a viewer, but I also really like it. Her aesthetic is very, very close to mine. She loves the same kind of yarns I do. She had a big haul from Europe and she is just a delight to watch. She's got 4 episodes now, so she is a new channel. So be sure to go and check her out and give her your love and support just like y'all did for me and help her channel grow. Now, second up is Sunday Knitting Society. And this is Chelsea from Sunday Knitting Society. She is over in Oklahoma. I believe she's in the Oklahoma City area, which is not too terribly far from me. And we have chatted several times and we have done a buddy knit. And I just really, really love her content. She does mainly garment knitting. She does do some knitting for her nieces as well. And so and oh my gosh, she does like me. She sits in front of this wall of yarn and I look at those yarns and I'm like, oh, let me wipe the drool off because oh my gosh, she's got some absolutely stunning yarns and she makes some of the most beautiful projects. She also sews. And so if you like content that also has sewing, she makes skirts and dresses and stuff. She has really inspired me and I've thought, ooh, maybe I want to sew, but yeah, no, I'm not going to sew. I'll pay somebody else to sew for me, but she has made me think about possibly sewing, and she has done some quilting as well. And she painted her house. It was really, really cool because it was a really bright green. And so she kind of told about that on one of her episodes. So go check her out. She is just as nice in person as she seems online. And she has done a lot of trips. Like she's gone several places and she does a lot of work trips too. So this time for the grocery girls, she had to go on a work trip and then do the grocery girl thing. So she had to, her packing, she made me laugh when she was like, I didn't have to sit on my suitcase, but, and I was like, oh girl, I get you because I might have had to do that before. And those are Those are the two that I must watch that are in the United States. But, and when I say I must watch, I mean the day it comes out. There are several more that I watch. A lot of them I do watch the day it comes out. But if I'm kind of back on some other episodes that I'm trying to watch on some other channels, then I will go watch them. But other ones that I watch Knitting McPurley. I watch A Lovely Yarn. And let me tell you where these people are, at least where I think they are. I Knit and I Know Things is in Colorado. Sunday Knitting Society is Oklahoma. Knitting McPurley is Virginia. And she also has her own yarn range. So I've heard, I have a friend who says I don't really watch her because it seems very salesman-y to me, because she does talk about her yarns, and she does talk about, right, but she sells yarns, so I would expect that. To me, it's no different than Fleece and Harmony in Canada. But she does talk about her yarns. She sells yarns. They seem to be absolutely lovely, and she's got this great little thing. It's called the Gauge Swatcheroo worksheet that's free on her website, and so I have used that several times. Then I watch A Lovely Yarn, who I believe is in Pennsylvania. And then the French Knot. I'm not positive where she is. If I were guessing, I would think that it would be Colorado. But with A Lovely Yarn, she is very soft-spoken. She knits a lot of garments. And she has other videos besides just podcast videos talking about, you know, is this yarn? What's the difference between these two yarns? Is this yarn worth more money than this yarn if they have the same composition? And so she's done some other videos like that. She seems to be super, super nice. And she also gardens. So this summer she's had some of the footage of her gardening. And that has been very interesting as well. And then the French Knot, like I said, if I'm guessing, maybe Colorado. But she has yarn, and I mean, she's got a whole wall of spin cycle. I'm like, whoo, that's a little bit out of my budget to have that much spin cycle. But I love looking at her wall of yarn. And she primarily knits garments as well. And she makes some really, really lovely garments. I really enjoy watching her. And she hosts some cows as well. And she's got several redesign bags. And she did she redid her craft room. So she did a stash reorganization video, and that's how I got introduced to her. And that was the one that hooked me. Then there's those Twins Who Knit. I do typically tend to catch them when they come out, but it may be a day later. But I always watch them within the first couple of days of them coming out. They are in Kansas City. I think Kansas City, Kansas, and not Kansas City, Missouri. But they're in that area, which again is not too terribly far from me. I really like them. I like the dynamic between them. And they primarily knit garments as well. And so they knit a lot of the things that I want to knit. And so, of course, that draws me to their podcast. Then there is, oh, and you know what? I lied. I said that there were only 2 in the United States that I watched the day it hit, and that is a lie. Because I watch Michelle from Easily Knit Fluenced as soon as it hits. I mean, I just do. I love her. She is in the New York area. I think she's in one of the suburbs of the city. And her local yarn store does sell Majo Garn. But she does primarily garments as well. And she's got 2 little boys. So she does do knitting for her little boys. And that's kind of what brought me in. I'm a boy mom as well. And so that was nice seeing a younger girl, not girl, she's a lady, but a younger lady with, you know, 2 little boys, and seeing her knit for them, where I wish that I had knit when my boys were little. So it's very nice watching that. And her aesthetic is a lot like mine. Now, she does knit some things that I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not knitting that. But, so she's a little bit more modern than I am. And she had a video, she's had several videos that haven't been just regular podcast episodes. She's done a review of the 52 weeks of sweaters. And she's done one about the hate of petite knit. And then she also had a unique take. And I think this may have been in the petite knit video, because I know petite knit used to not really be size inclusive, and she's gotten better and better. And people want to say that that's because she, you know, her name's Petite Knit, but I believe she got that name because she knitted for her children. I won't swear to that. But anyway, I digress. Michelle had a unique take on that size inclusivity stuff, because she's like, guys, I do understand. When I was a teenager, I was in Japan. She is half Japanese, and so she spent part of her teenage years living in Japan and was bigger than everybody else there. So it was really hard for her to find things that fit. So she understood. And so I just really appreciated her sharing that. And even if I had not already been watching her and really like a fangirl of hers, that would have made me want to watch her more. All right, then we've got Any Knits. This is, I'm quite certain that NE stands for Northeast because she is in the Boston area, and this is Amy. And she does also primarily knit garments, but she does do some accessories as well. And she does some very, very beautiful work, and she's got some gorgeous yarn as well. And she has done several trips. She's been over to Europe and gone over to Norway. So she's got some of those podcasts or those episodes as well, not regular podcasts, but some of those episodes, which I find very interesting. Then we've got Wool Needles Hands, and she does a lot. I haven't seen her do like just a typical podcast for a while. She does a lot of informational videos, talks about different sweater constructions and things like that. I think that she has a lot of great information on her channel. And she is in, I am not positive where she's at. I think she may be no. I want to say Las Vegas, but I'm not positive. I don't think so, because I think she's somewhere colder than that. I don't know where she's at for sure. Then we've got Haley at Knit Weekend, and she is in the Nashville area, and she does a wide range of things. She does accessories. She also spins. She does garments. She's got a cat that is hilarious. That is a very, very naughty cat. And so she does it. People in her family have been ill. I don't know who it was, but she has been very open and honest about, hey, somebody in my family has been ill. I may not be recording quite on the same schedule that I have been. And so I don't know that she has a set schedule. I don't notice that like, oh, once a month I know I'm going to get an episode. She used to be every week or every 2 weeks. And so, but when she pops up on my screen, I do go and watch her fairly quickly. And I just really enjoy it. I like watching other Southerners because I enjoy, you know, how they talk. They talk about a lot of the same things. They spin yarns like I do, right? Let me use that pun there. They tell the tales. So I really enjoy watching other Southerners. Then there is Knit Cheek. And Knit Cheek, I believe, is in the Seattle area or in the Washington area. Maybe California. But she is on the West Coast. And she has some informational videos as well as regular podcasts. And she does a lot of garments. But she does other things too. I think she does some accessories as well. And then you've got Yeji, who is in California. And she is at And Made Co. on Instagram, I think is her handle. And she has done several buddy knits with other people, and she does a lot of project vlogs. So if you're looking to knit a sweater and you're looking to see like, how did somebody like this video, go look at her channel and see if she's knit it, because if she has, chances are she's done a vlog for it. Then there's a couple here. One of them is a new one, Flasher Knits. I think she's only got like 3 episodes out, and she's posting monthly right now. But she's hilarious, and I think that she's like in the Montana area or somewhere. But she has just made me laugh. She's pretty just down to earth and straightforward, and so she's really gotten me. And she does crochet and knit, and she's done some sweaters, but she's done some blankets and stuff too. So she's got a wide array. And then finally for the US is Balanced Skein. And she does not put out quite regularly either, but when she pops up, I go and watch her. And she makes primarily garments, but she also, I think, does some crochet. And I do not know where she is at. All right, I'm going to say Europe for last because it is the longest. For Australia, I absolutely have to watch Mostly Knitting as soon as it hits, and Two Pearls in a Pod. So Mostly Knitting, that's Tash from Mostly Knitting. I think that she is in the Sydney area. I won't swear to that. But she is just adorable. And she is really the podcaster that made me open my eyes to, we have to stop just focusing on the large size of size inclusivity, because Tash is tiny. I mean, like a 32-inch bust, I think, gives her a little bit of positive ease. She is so small. I mean, she's tall and she's thin, but she has had to make some children's sizes before to get a size small enough. And we all know women's bodies are not built like children's bodies. So she does do a lot of alterations of her knitting out of necessity. And she is an excellent, excellent knitter. She does primarily do garments, but she has done some accessories as well. She's also done a couple of Babylon leather bags. Her husband has been on there as a guest, and so have her 2 daughters. Her daughters have actually knitted some things as well, some tank tops and stuff. Then the other one, 2 Pearls in a Pod. These are 2 friends. I'm not positive what part of Australia they are in, but they are just pretty funny. They laugh. They get along really well. You can't help but smile when you watch them. And they have beautiful, beautiful, beautiful garments that they knit. They do also do accessories, but they both just knit beautiful items. And it's just beautiful. And they've done things like Paige. One of them, she took, I think, a 6-month tour of Europe. We don't seem to do those things over here in the United States, or maybe I just was not in the right wealth level to be able to do those things whenever I was younger, and I got married very young, but none of my friends went and did those things either. So, but she was gone for about 6 months over there, and so she shared, and they did some Zoom and stuff like that. But they are really fun to watch. The other ones that I watch out of Australia, and I will tell you, Lovely Day Knits, if she were still podcasting right now, I would be watching her as soon as she came out. She has had some health issues, and so her podcasting is hit or miss right now. And I hope that she's doing very well, but if you want to help her out, go watch some of her older videos. She is just a sweetheart, and she is a true sweetheart in person. I reached out to her whenever I first started podcasting and asked her some questions and stuff, and she was more than happy to help me. She sent me a video showing me some stuff. She was just absolutely lovely helping me get started. Hence, Lovely Day, right? And then We Are Wool People. If you've watched any of the videos about Hot or Not, she kind of started that trend of taking Ravelry's Hot Right Now and talking about the top 10 to say, does she think they're hot or not? And then there is Oh So Stitched, and she has a crochet business, and she does knit, but she's also done yarn reviews, she's done pattern reviews, and she does really, really cute origami. And then there's Claire Likes to Knit. She has been on Fruity Knitting not long ago, and she does a lot of garments, and because she grew up in a tailor, her family were tailors, she really talks a lot about fit and about how she has shoulders that she needs more bulk on, and so she talks about how she does that, and she uses shoulder pads and just several things, and she gives tips and tricks, and that is always very, very nice to hear someone talking about fit and how you can make something but simply by just putting a shoulder pad in there to give your shoulder, to balance your body out. And she has laughed about, I didn't realize that the trend in the 80s was what I really needed. And then Our Stitching Chronicles. And this is also 2 friends who get together and they talk about their knits. And one of them just went to Japan not long ago and had a video about that. All right, in Canada, like I said, nobody made the list of I must watch them as soon as they come out on the day they come out. But I do have several Canadian podcasters that I watch. I watch Allie Makes Everything, and she does several things. She does make everything. She makes hats, she makes garments, she makes gloves, she makes, all kinds of things. She also always has a cup, like a tea and a cup, and so she talks about her cups and her tea. And one thing that I do like, something I will not be doing because I would probably be very embarrassed about how much I spend on yarn, but she doesn't have a stash, so she buys for the project. But what she will do is she will tell you how much the project cost, how much was the pattern, how much was the yarn. So how much is the total cost for the garment or the project. Then she breaks it down and she'll talk about how many times she's worn it. So, and when she does a review at the end of the year, she says, like, let's just say this garment was $250, but she has worn it, 25 times. And so that brings the cost per wear down. So she tries to get her cost per wear down to like, a couple of bucks. She tries to wear her garments a lot. So I find that very interesting. And I thought, that is a great way to look at it, because we do tend to spend a lot of money on yarn to make our garments. But how many times do we wear it? And if you break that down by cost per wear, it is very affordable. And they typically last longer than the things you buy in the store. So I find that very interesting. String Things by Mel, she is not as consistent as she has been, but that is, I think, because she is a stay-at-home mom and her daughter's home for summer right now. And she has a little girl. She does knit for her little girl. She does a lot of things where she took like the Bloom, I think it's the Bloom cardigan. It was in the Nordic Knits, and it's that there's a vest and then there's a long sleeve cardigan. It's got the pretty flowers on it. She made herself one, and then she modified that pattern for her daughter and made her daughter a matching one. I just thought it was adorable, and she tends to do that quite a bit, where she and her daughter can match. I think it's great, especially while the little girl's small enough to want to match her mama. And then you've got Fleece and Harmony. They are out of PEI, and they have their own yarn shop, and their story is pretty amazing. I've watched every single episode. I went back and binge watched them from the beginning. And so I tune in every week. It is now 3 people. There's Kim, who owns the shop, and then there's Simone, and I don't know why I have forgotten her name, but there's a third person. And they do a podcast together. They all work together, and so they do farm updates about the sheep. They do shop updates about what's going on in the shop. They sometimes have special yarns that they'll talk about, and then they talk about the projects that they knit. And let me tell you, Simone may be one of the best knitters that I've ever seen. It is really nice. And then there is one more out of Canada that is, Cozy Up Knits, and it's 3 sisters. I had to stop and think for a second. I don't watch them all the time, but when they pop up on my algorithm, I will go watch them, because they're just funny to watch, and they do a lot of things where they'll all knit the same thing. But their dynamic is just really fun to watch. All right, and last but not least, my long Canada or Europe list, and then I'll tell you at the end who I'm binging right now to try to get caught up. So my Europe podcast that I have to watch as soon as they are released. This one should be no surprise to anyone, and that is Leah at Ruby and Pearls. We've done a buddy knit. We chat pretty much daily right now. I'm really enjoying knitting with her. She is as nice as she seems. Her podcast, I'm assuming, is named after her dogs, because her dogs' names are Ruby and Pearl, and her logo is her dogs. And I'm pretty sure that in one of the first episodes she did mention that she named it after her dogs. They sometimes come and join the podcast, and it's very cute watching them. And she always has an intro where it shows them out walking, so you get some really nice nature scenes. Fleece and Harmony does that at the end, but Leah does it at the beginning. I normally don't really love that, but I do really like it. She takes them out on the beach. You'll see water. You'll see beautiful scenery. And so I like that part of it. And then she does primarily garments, and our aesthetic is very much alike. And she also loves yarn. Now, she does not have near as much yarn as I do, but she does love yarn, and I love her too, because she's not, I tell everybody I'm a yarn snob, but I try not to judge anybody else, right? I don't care what yarn you use. But I love the fact that she's like, hey, I have this thing that's an acrylic and something else mix, and it makes it better because this structure or this or that, and you know what? I'm going to use it. And so I very much appreciate that, because I think that there's been too much talk in the community about, oh, you shouldn't be using acrylic. And people who need a blend because it is cheaper or whatever tend to be a little bit more self-conscious. So I wish that more people would be out there saying, hey, I'm going to use what I want to use. You use what you want to use. So I watch her as soon as it hits, and it's usually on Friday. I thought it was on Thursday, and I stalked YouTube all day last Thursday, but I believe she releases on Fridays. Then I have Knitting Tradition. Oh, and Leah is in the UK. I'm 99.9% sure. And then I have Knitting Traditions, who is in Norway, and that is Inga with Knitting Traditions. She is a young mom. She's also a doctor, and she's just had a baby within the last couple of months, so she's got 2 little girls. She primarily knits garments. She does love cones as much as I do. She has cones behind her when she podcasts, and she is doing a cone along right now. And I am just telling you, her and the Norwegian knitter, I don't know how they do it. They both got a couple of small children, their newest ones being pretty new, and they still podcast and they still do all of their stuff. And I'm like, oh, that is a lot of energy. Maybe I had that when I was their age. I don't remember that though. But she just does some really beautiful, beautiful knitting. She knitted a traditional Norwegian dress for her daughter for Norwegian Independence Day. Oh my gosh. That might be one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen knitted. And she just seems to be as nice as can be. So I really, really enjoy watching her. And she has a love of Rama yarn. And she is, I found out through her that Rama has some yarn on cones at their factory store. So when I get to Norway, that's going to be dangerous. Then also in Europe is Rosemary and Pines. I watch that as soon as that comes out. She used to do more traditional episodes, podcast episodes, but now she's really delved into, like, she's got a Knitting Around the World series where she covers designers from different countries. She usually has a giveaway of a pattern in that. One of the designers will offer up a pattern. She's now doing like some history of knitting videos. It's a lot of information, and she has a PhD, I believe, in chemistry or science. So she loves to do research. So she has really started researching these things and has so much information. I really, really enjoy learning because I really learn from her channel. So I really enjoy when she has a podcast that comes out, and she is in Germany. Then there is Ruth Loves to Knit, who is in the UK. She is Irish, but she is living in the UK, and she's just fun. She is just fun, and she just tells it like it is, and she's so funny because she'll be like, oh, I took a shower and my hair's still wet, and oh, forgive it, and oh, the lighting's bad, and she's so funny, and she does a lot of socks. She does do garments as well, but her favorite color is yellow, which makes me laugh every time she talks about yellow and how much she loves it, because it is my least favorite color, and I'm like, Ruth, I love you anyway. But she just seems like she would be the best mom. She's got 2 teenage kids, and she just seems like somebody I would be friends with. All right. And that's kind of the theme all along. These people that I'm like so glued to the TV and I want to watch all the time. I feel like we'd be friends if I lived close to them. All right. Then we've got the Knit Pearl Girl. I've test knit for her several times. I watch her all the time. I love her designs. Love, 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 love her designs. And she is so nice. Every time I've reached out to her, she has been so incredibly kind. To the point of one time I told her, I was like, hey, I have this podcast. She's like, I'm looking for new content. I'll go watch it right now. I thought that was so incredibly nice. And I do watch her all the time. She is in the process of moving right now, so things have been a little bit hectic, but she's got some beautiful designs coming out. And she is very down to earth as well. Excuse me. Also over in Europe, Knit Pearl Girl, she is in the UK. Sherry with Good Knits is in Amsterdam. She's actually a Canadian who's an expat in Amsterdam. But I love watching her. And I am test knitting an application she's developing right now for some counters and some calculators and stuff like that. I'm really enjoying that. It's been a really good experience. I'm looking forward to her getting all of it completed so that I can subscribe to it. But she is just super, super nice. And we actually struck up a conversation. Her mother unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And I just sent a little note and just told her, hey, I'm so sorry. I remember when my mom died. And we just struck up a little conversation. And we've conversed a little bit ever since then, just here and there. And then, like I said, now I am beta testing this app. And so I love her content. She is on a journey as well about fit, because apparently she has a 5-inch difference between her upper bust and her full bust. So she has started delving into bust starts and how do you add those to patterns that, don't have them written in, and so that you get a better fit, which I really, really appreciate, because part of the reason we knit our own clothes is so that we can make it fit us, right? So I really, really appreciate the podcasts that go out there and really focus on fit and share what they've found out. And she also has a very naughty kitty that is so cute. His name is Ollie, and he is hilarious. All right, and then I've got two more that are, or I'm sorry, not two more, one more that is a must watch, and that is Rebecca Clow, or the Crayabea. No secret, I love her designs. I have 5 tolls to tease, 1 on the needles, 2 more planned. I'm working on a staff and light. I have lots of plans for her designs. Everything I've knit by her has been, it's just fit wonderfully. I really enjoy her designs. And she is very down to earth too. When I first started watching her, and I first found her, she had already started designing, but I went back and binge watched her. And I couldn't help but laugh because she's always like messing with her hair and stuff, and her hair will be messed up. And she's like, oh, I'm having a bad hair day and all this. I appreciate that because I am not perfect. I don't like it whenever somebody tries to, make out like, hey, my life is perfect. That's why I tell people all the time, do not look at the Facebook photos. Do not look at the Instagram photos as being a true representation of somebody's life, because they are only showing you the parts that they want you to see. And so I appreciate it whenever somebody like Rebecca's just like, whatever, so my hair is a mess today. I'm still going to get on here and podcast. And she has just lovely designs. And she also, I love her story about how she started designing, because she started designing to see how hard it was to be size inclusive before she called people out for not being size inclusive. That is somebody who puts their money where their mouth is, and I appreciate that. So I've been a fan of hers ever since then, and now she's another one that I feel like I'd be friends with. She is in Scotland. And then, in no particular order, then I have the Norwegian knitter who is in Norway. She's got 2 small boys. She does primarily knitting for her kids and garment knitting. There's the Happy Knitting podcast, and she does socks, she does accessories, she does garments. And what really sucked me in with her and sent me on the journey of having to have that Filcolana mohair that I needed so bad that Michelle got me was she knit a Sunday sweater out of this coast, or this super soft space, and that Filcolana mohair held together, and I must have that. It is absolutely stunning. So I started watching her whenever I saw that, and then I've just kept watching her. She pops up and I watch her, but I don't always see it the day that it comes out. And then there's Yarn at the Barn, and Yarn at the Barn, she may be in France, I won't swear to that, but she is really, just seems to be a very nice person, and she's been podcasting. She's a newer podcaster. She does primarily garments. She also knits for her husband. And again, just somebody that I feel like I'm having a conversation with. And then you've got Stitches Past 5. She is in Austria. And she has recently gotten married. And she has knit for her husband. She's knit for her dad. I think she's knitting something for her brother now. She, knits for herself. She actually has started designing a little bit. And so she's got a test call out there. I was going to do it because she did this out of Drops Hair, but she holds the Drops Hair double. And I'm thinking, I don't think that I could wear the Drops Hair double. I mean, I probably could, but I would get a couple of days of wear out of that. So I passed on that one. But she is, she just seems to be very nice as well. And then you've got What Hannah Knits, and she is in the UK. She buys a lot of vintage yarn off of it's kind of like eBay, I guess. It's called Vinted. And she buys a lot of stuff off of there that is more vintage yarns. And so I found that very interesting. And then there's Stitches and Stem, who is out of Ireland. And she's a really great knitter. She just designed a sweater in honor of her grandfather. She had a sweater that was her grandfather's, and she recreated it. And now there's a test call out there for it. I did apply for it. We'll see if I get it. But I watch her really regularly as well. She does some really beautiful work. And she has done some trips. She's been to Australia and New Zealand and stuff. And she quite often has yarn, and she seems to love yarn just as much as I do. All right, and then you've got Kuta Kavika. I mean, I found her when she knitted her wedding dress and just started watching her. And then there's Sari Nordland. Both of them I watch kind of sporadically. I haven't seen every single episode, but when they pop up, I do watch them. And I love the knitting podcast they have together. And I forget the name of it. Excuse me. But I do watch it probably more than I watch either one of them alone. Then we've got, of course, Fruity Knitting, who is kind of who started me on the rabbit hole of podcasts, because they were the first podcast I started watching. And I had to go back. I went all the way back. At that point, they had 7 years. And I'm going to tell you, if you are like me and you need to go back and watch from the beginning, when it first started, it was Andrew and Andrea, husband and wife, and Andrew did pass away. I did not know that when I got invested. And then Teresa said something about, it hasn't been, it's not been the same since Andrew died. And I said, what do you mean? And so then I spent an entire weekend sobbing when all of that played out. Just letting you know. So if that is something that's a trigger for you and you don't want to watch that, go and find them after and find the Madeline and Andrea. Because now Madeline, their daughter, and Andrea do it together, and Madeline's pregnant. So, and I have met them. I went to the Costa Rica knitting retreat, their very first knitting retreat, and got to meet them. And they were both extremely, extremely nice people. And just have been nothing but supportive whenever I've talked to them. Then I've got Lise Light, and she's over in Denmark, because she always has a Danish word of the day. And she talks a lot about fit as well. She doesn't like a lot of positive ease, so she tends to modify things, and she does primarily garments. And then last but not least is Danish Musings, and she is also in Denmark. And she is probably the most elegant podcaster I watch. Like, she just seems to me like if we were back in the 1920s or 30s, she would be that, the prim and proper lady. And I do enjoy it. She's got beautiful knitting skills and makes the most beautiful projects. But I always, whenever I watch her, I always feel like I need to sit up straight. So I do really, really enjoy her podcast, though. And she's not been quite as regular lately, so I don't know what's going on there. Or maybe it's just not showing up on my algorithm. So, and that is it. And I also wanted to say, I didn't say this whenever I was talking about Leah from Ruby and Pearls. She also designs, and she is working on a cardigan right now. She's got the cutest dress, and it is making me want to knit this dress. It is so cute, and it is a sleeveless dress. I may wind up having to knit this, and just, if I decide that I can't wear it because I just am too uncomfortable wearing a knitted dress, that's okay. It will hang up and bring me joy, because it is so cute, and it's a fingering weight top, and then the skirt is DK. Go check it out. She is Leah Amber Knits, and you can find her on Instagram. If you go check out Ruby and Pearls, you'll find her, and that'll lead you to her Ravelry and her designer's page. So anyway, she also, I will say this too, because it's something that I feel like people don't talk about enough, which is sometimes things don't go right. And she's like, yeah, I dipped my toe into designing, and then I didn't even break even on it. And so now I was ready to give up, and I was kind of down on it and all this, but I'm going to give it another chance. I think it's important that we talk about the things that don't go right as well as the things that do go right? Because everybody fails in life. Everybody fails at something. And I tell everybody, fail is first attempt in learning. That's all that it means. So on that note, I am going to say thank y'all very much for hanging out with me and watching this. I am not going to go back and try to insert any, pictures of the podcast or anything, but I will link to every one of these YouTube channels in my description. So if you want to go watch one of them, you should be able to just go in the description and click on it, and it will take you to their channels. So I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope I've given you some ideas for some new podcasts to watch. And please, please, please drop in the comments your favorite podcast, because I am always looking for new people to watch. And if you have one, please. Oh, I knew I was going to do this. Let me finish this. If you have a podcast, please share that below. But let me now say, because what I did not say is who I'm binging. I told y'all, I'm going to wait on this. The two that I'm binging are from Europe, and I'm going to tell you this. I am binging 2 podcasts. One of them is, she actually has 2 channels, and that is Soph Knits Daily, and that is a unique podcast in that she travels around, and she's a house sitter. Apparently she goes around and house sits and takes care of people's animals while they're on a trip and all this. And then she also did like where she was living in her camper or her van for like 6 months. But they've gone all over. They've been to Denmark and Scotland and Ireland and Norway and Portugal and Amsterdam and several places in the UK. They've been to Bath and some other places. It's been very, very interesting. And then her boyfriend, Wilson, has also started knitting. And so they have a channel together called We Knit Daily. And that when they are just sitting there knitting and kind of talking and asking each other questions and that they've got about 6 episodes over there. So those have both been very interesting. And then the other one that I'm binging is the Knitting Shepherdess. She came up on my algorithm with the Wonder Wool video that she did. And I have to tell you, I was so jealous of all of the great bargains she got on wool. So now I just need to go to Wales. And she is in Wales, I'm assuming, because she said she was only about 30 minutes from Wonder Wool. But she could be in another country and be only 30 minutes from it because those countries are so close together. But she is over in that area, and I am just really jealous at all of the bargains. So now I just need to go to Wonder Wool and go to Wales sometime. But she has sheep. She's a sheep farmer, and so she talks about that some. And she's there's been a lot of fun stuff, and she has almost as much yarn as I do, maybe even as much or more than I do, and she knits some of the most beautiful stuff. And we are going to do a buddy knit in the future. We're trying to figure out what and when, because I've got to get some stuff off my needles. So she does have a channel, and I am binge watching her, trying to get caught up. So now that I remembered to say that, I really will sign off and say thank you very much for spending this time with me. And don't forget to like and subscribe and drop a comment with your favorite podcast. Let me know, maybe you watch all the ones I do and you're like, yeah, I don't have anybody else. Or maybe you're like, hey, I didn't know part of these, but here's the ones that I always watch. Go check them out. So just let me know who you are watching. And until the next time, have a fantastic knitty